Hi guys and welcome to episode 23 of Kazcast. I've just got off the phone with Shaun Kober. Shaun is the head of strength and conditioning at Tiger Muay Thai, which is in Phuket in Thailand. Really interesting guy. We spoke initially about Shaun's background in the military, the Australian military, and the role that he played within his team. He was part of a small sniper team, and we spoke about how that has linked in with his role as a strength and conditioning coach and working with top level fighters. So the mindset side of things and how being in stressful situations has really helped him become a good coach. We also spoke about how being in the military, and especially when you're on deployment, how you're able to keep in good shape and finding that balance between training for your role but not overtraining that you can't do your job properly. So that was quite interesting to speak to him about that and his nutrition, and also how training and fitness facilities has changed over the years on military bases. So how the training has advanced over the years to cater for the military personnel. We then went on to speak about Shaun's career so far at Tiger Muay Thai, and how the sort of different challenges that he's been presented with going from working as a personal trainer to general population to actually working with pro athletes as a strength and conditioning coach. We spoke about that jump up, and we spoke a little bit about the programming of how he likes to structure his workouts for these fighters, a little bit about the periodization, and it was just really interesting to cover lots of different topics. So I had a really interesting chat with Shaun, and I know you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. So please enjoy my conversation with Shaun Kober.
There are no constraints on the human mind, no walls around the human spirit, no barriers to our progress except those we ourselves erect. Make your life a story worth telling.
Okay, guys, and welcome to Kazcast, episode 23. Today on the phone, all the way from Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, we've got Shaun Kober. So thanks for coming on, Shaun. Appreciate it, mate.
Pleasure, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff, bud. So what I wanted to ask you, just a little bit about your background to begin with, Shaun. So I understand that you was in the military in Australia, and part of your role, you was part of a small sniper team, and I read that you was awarded the commendation for gallantry for actions under fire. So obviously you've found yourself in some stressful sort of situations in the past. Do you think the sort of combat experience that you've had has helped you when it comes to working with these top level athletes and MMA fighters who are also going through, stressful periods as well through their training and through their fights?
Absolutely, mate. I've got no doubt about it. That's one of the biggest things that I work with not only my athletes but my general population clients as well is working on mindset and behavior and the psychology of training and understanding why they're doing what they're doing and how they're going to achieve their goal, set themselves to put themselves in a good position to be able to win, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So for you, so focusing on your military background to begin with, when it comes to your own training, and I'm always curious of when you're actually out on deployment, how fit are you actually able to keep yourself in, and how difficult is it to manage your own fitness levels? But also, I can imagine you don't want to destroy yourself with loads of hard workouts and then you can't do your job properly. So just a little bit about your own fitness and how sort of fit, and how much did you learn about your own fitness when you was in the military?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think that's a great question, and the answer really depends on what you define fitness as.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the specific adaptation to impose demands, the SAID principle.
Mm-hmm.
You basically get really good at whatever you're doing. So, I was strong. I had really good endurance. We were operating at probably 1,600 to 2,000 meters above sea level for the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And I was carrying, heavy weapon systems and spare ammunition and food and water and body armor and 3, 4, 5 day tasks. We were carrying all the gear we need for that. So, at times, man, I was probably weighing about 76 kilos, 74, 76, 78 kilos.
Yeah.
I typically walk around at roughly 80, 81, 82 kilos. So yeah, we're carrying pretty heavy packs and things like that on a typical short patrol, of 6 to 8 hours. I'd probably be carrying about 30 kilos on top of my own body weight. So I got really good at carrying heavy loads for sustained periods at high altitude. So yeah, man, I had to adjust my training whilst I was overseas. I went to Iraq, East Timor, Afghanistan. I'll speak mostly about Afghanistan because that's where we were typically busiest.
Yeah.
And that was the last deployment that I did. So, I had to change my workouts a little bit. Before that, I was sticking to kind of more hypertrophy style, bodybuilding style training sessions. But, it's like, man, if you smash your legs one day a week,
yeah.
You can't walk for a couple of days after, then it's not going to put you in a good position to be able to go on those longer patrols.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I started transitioning more into full body style training sessions where I was kind of hitting different movement patterns.
Yeah.
Once every second day. And the other thing was, man, like we're on a small base, so when we weren't busy, then there was really not much to do.
Apart from keep fit and train. Yeah.
Go to the gym, watch movies.
Yeah.
Watch TV series and play cards and things like that. So
yeah.
We didn't have. We actually had a decent gym for the combat outpost that we were on. So I think that's a testament to the Australian Army that they, in particular, did fit out these smaller outposts and things like that.
Cool.
That were there for longer periods with decent gym facilities. I mean, they weren't amazing, but.
Have you noticed a difference with, say, when you first joined the military to now and what you hear now within the gyms that are on bases? Have you noticed a change within the style of gyms? Like, have a lot of the gyms on military bases, have they gone more away from that bodybuilding style to that sort of strength and conditioning, CrossFit, functional training style in terms of like the equipment and like the training that's encouraged for you guys to do? Have you noticed within the military that change a lot, say like over the last 10 years?
Yeah, definitely. It had to change. You couldn't, it was to get, machines onto bases and things like that.
Yeah.
They were heavy. They took up a lot of space. You fixed in certain planes of movement. Some of the machines didn't suit particular body types, et cetera, et cetera. So, it was, I thought it was good to see the transition going from machine-based training more towards, pull-up bars and dips and suspension trainers and kettlebells and dumbbells and things like that. So, yeah, I definitely saw that evolve over the years, and I personally think it's for the better. Yeah,
definitely. Was the like a TRX, you said about suspension training, because wasn't the TRX initially designed for military personnel? Well, obviously, you see a lot of TRX classes now, and TRX is very popular because it's so practical, just fits in a little bag and you can take it wherever. So is that something you incorporated into your training, the TRX, using that?
Yes. I had my own TRX with me, but we actually had a couple of sets of gymnastics rings on our base.
Yeah.
So we could talk about the different types of suspension trainers. I do believe they were initially designed for military. But yeah, I like the gymnastics rings over the TRX just because it allows a lot more. You've got the double point rather than the single point, so you can do a lot more.
Yeah.
You have a lot more options basically. You've got your pull-ups, your dips. It's just a lot more convenient, a little bit heavier. But I've done a lot of training. I've done a lot of travel over the years. I've traveled to 40 different countries, and the first thing that goes in my bag is a set of gymnastics rings, a set rope, and a resistance band.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you've got everything there to tick you over wherever you're going, which is it makes it really practical. That's really cool, mate. I like that. That's awesome. So, what about your nutrition when you was on deployment? How good could you get your nutrition? Was it a bit of a struggle some days? How many calories would you be sort of taking in? And how did that look for you, your nutrition when you was away?
Yeah, That's a complex question. It really depended on where you were based.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was on a small combat outpost, and we did have a cook on our base, but his job was to basically provide one fresh meal a day. So
Yeah.
the rest of the time we're eating ration packs and other canned food, packaged food that our loved ones had sent over. So yeah, it was very difficult at times.
Yeah.
Obviously we were out on long patrols. I was carrying heavy loads. We're covering a lot of ground. Only getting one fresh meal a day, so I actually got really, really lean.
I bet. Yeah.
Ended up having an 8-pack, but I wouldn't recommend anyone going down that route.
Okay, cool. So with if say like a young guy's listening to this, or someone who wants to join the military, what would you say like a good training regime would be for you to get on before you start, or some sort of key exercises? How long should you sort of give yourself to? I know it depends on what sort of branch of the military you're going in, but what do you think are some good fundamentals for anyone in the military or looking to go in to actually bring into their training?
Yeah, I think having or building a solid foundation with bodyweight based movements, squats, bilateral, unilateral, lunges, pull-ups, dips, push-ups, sit-ups, all those different types of variations. I think that's a really good place to start, build a foundation, but you also need to be able to, carry heavy loads for extended distances. So that's pretty much where I'd start, man, and that's going to allow you to build a really solid foundation.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of transition to whatever direction you need to go from there, depending on what your role is, what your tasks are, what equipment you have available, where you're posted, etc., etc.
Yeah, cool. So before military and during the military, were you on? I sort of read up that you have played a lot of rugby. Obviously, rugby in Australia is massive. So, what's your background with rugby? Did you play any other sports? And I'm guessing you played rugby since you was a kid, right? Because you've played at a pretty high level.
Yeah. So I grew up playing all different types of sports. I lived in the country in Queensland, in Australia. So, we basically rotated through sports depending on what season it was. Some seasons I'd play cricket, soccer, basketball with my friends after school. I actually grew up playing rugby league, and then once I moved to Darwin when I was 14, 15, then I transitioned into rugby union, and that kind of took me all over Australia and also around the world. So I actually got pretty lucky. I got an opportunity down in Sydney. I got a scholarship down there, so I went down there for a couple of years, gave it a pretty good crack, realised I probably wasn't going to make pro. I was a decent player, but I was also a realist, so that's kind of when I decided to move back to Darwin. And in the army.
Awesome, mate. So you had you had your military experience. You've had you had your experience playing sport at quite a high level. So when did you decide that you was leaving the military and you were going to transition to becoming a strength and conditioning coach? And was that kind of your initial plan when you were leaving the military, or did that sort of happen by accident and it's something that you thought about later? So yeah, how did you transition from military to coach?
So, like I said, growing up playing sports, I was a relatively athletic kid, but I was very skinny. But I was fast. I had good footwork, etc. So I was kind of always in the space. I was always training and always trying to get bigger. I was 70, I think like maybe 68 kilos or something, playing against adults basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, how do I need to put on some size. I need to put on some muscles. I can compete with these guys. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into the gym. Started lifting. One of my really good mates that I actually joined the army with, he was an absolute weapon. He's actually a special forces commando right now, but he kind of introduced me to the gym, and I'd tag along with him, and he'd teach me a heap of things. And and then I started passing that information on to other people. Obviously, once I got into the army, then that's one of the first things you do when you rock up to work is you go on parade, you get your name called out, and then you get a briefing for what's to occur for that day, and then after that you're straight into physical training. So you're training with your either your section or your platoon, or sometimes you might even work with your entire company. So that's kind of how I got into that, and obviously the role that I was in, I needed to be physically fit, mentally fit. So it was something that always I always, was
Yeah.
striving toward was I always wanted to get stronger. I always wanted to get faster. I always needed to, make sure that I was pushing myself in the gym, so then that could carry over into, allow me to do my job with great efficiency. So
Yeah.
then, same thing. I had a heap of training partners, and people would come and have a chat to me and be like, "Hey, man, I saw you doing this. Why were you doing that? Blah blah blah." So, I basically taught myself, and I had a heap of really good people around me. Some high achievers, guys that went on to SAS and commandos, and things like that. So I had really good mentors around me, but I was also really interested in it, and I was like you said, I was playing rugby at a decent level.
Yeah.
So I basically wanted everything that I was doing in the gym to transfer into being good at my job, and then being also a good rugby player. So then the reason I got out of the army was we got back from Afghanistan in 2011,
Yeah.
and our commanding officer basically turned around and said that our battalion wasn't deploying anymore. I'd been in for 6 years at that time, and as an infantry soldier, that's our job, is to deploy, to go overseas, to fight. So I'd been away a lot. I'd missed a heap of weddings and birthdays and events and things like that. I had a really, really busy 6 years, and I was kind of looking at transitioning and wondering where I was going to go and what I was going to do, and I kind of just fell into it. I was like, right, I just, reviewed my life and what I really enjoyed doing. And I was like, I like playing rugby. I like training. This is something that is, kind of drawing me in. I enjoy teaching other people what I've learned, because it also allows me to, have an understanding of what I've been taught. And then I portray that information to other people, and then I kind of look at them and like, did they get that? If they didn't, then I don't know it well enough.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that process. So I started doing my PT course, personal training certification, prior to getting out of the army. And then that wasn't actually my first chosen, route that I wanted to go. I actually signed up for the fire brigade.
Okay.
So I went through the whole process. Obviously, need to keep myself in good shape to go through that process. Made it through to the final interview. Didn't get selected. So
That's really surprising, because you just seem like a really natural fit for that because of your previous experience in the military. That must be quite a common route. People to come out the military and go into the fire service.
Absolutely. Yeah, fireys, police. It's very
Yeah,
common.
you must have been quite surprised when you didn't get that. That must have been surprising for you. Annoying as well, since you got to the final interview.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, and I was down on myself for a couple of weeks afterwards. But
it's worked out, isn't it? It's worked out for the best.
Yeah, man. I had to go. All right, well, maybe that's not what you meant to do right now. Go and start your own coaching business, and maybe in a year's time when the intake opens again, then go back and have another crack.
Cool, mate.
So I did that. I started PTing, and training friends and family and things like that, and then it's kind of started growing from there. And then I obviously got out of the army. I finished my PT course, met a girl. I moved down to Tasmania. We basically went and travelled for about a year and a half. I didn't work.
Yeah, ideal. Perfect. Everyone's got to do it.
Yeah. And then we moved down to Tasmania and down the south of Australia, Ireland down the south of Australia, and I started my business again there. And basically, a lot of the clients that I had initially, they stayed with me for the 4 to 5 years that I was in Tasmania, even though I was taking off every year and traveling for 3 or 4 months. Which was, it was great, because I'd tell them I'd be due back in December, for example, and they'd be messaging me a couple of weeks early and be like, "Hey man, when are you coming back? I want to book in with you again." So and I had a really good loyal client base.
That's nice.
There, and they came back to me every time. And I'm super grateful for those people that did become my clients and then stay on as clients over that time, because it essentially made me the coach I am today. Yeah,
that's awesome, mate. I love that. So you've done your PT, and you could have stayed at that level, but did you find it was a natural fit to go into the world of strength and conditioning? Because it's a step up from being a personal trainer that trains the public to a strength and conditioning coach that trains athletes. So when did you make that decision? Where did you study to become a strength coach? And what was your sort of first experience of working with athletes opposed to the general public?
Yeah, good question. I didn't go to school. The strength and conditioning course I did was the Australian Strength and Conditioning Association Level 1 course,
Yeah.
ASCA Level 1, and that was basically just a weekend course. But then there was the follow-up that went on for about 3 to 6 months after that. I had to, tick a number of boxes and submit my workbooks and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of ongoing. I was lucky because I was playing rugby, and the teams that I played for actually wanted to employ me as a strength and conditioning coach. So
Yeah.
I was kind of dabbling in that before I even became qualified as a strength and conditioning coach.
Okay.
So yeah, it kind of just kind of fell into my lap, man, to be honest.
That's awesome.
And then
Yeah.
I started, building a little bit of a reputation. Then I'd get some other athletes would come and have a chat to me and say, hey, I want to do some work with you. I've got this tournament coming up, or I've got this event coming up that I want to get in shape for, and I want to work on my speed, my power, and my agility, etc., etc. So
Yeah.
One thing led to another, and that was always something that I wanted to do, was work with professional athletes and high level athletes. To be honest, I would just take charge of the training sessions at rugby. This was before I even was approached by any of the coaches or anything.
Okay. Yeah.
They would just ask me if I would run the strength and conditioning.
Yeah, you naturally had that background. You had that experience already that people knew about. So you was able to. That's good. So you was able to pick up loads of experience before you actually embarked on the strength and conditioning course. You already had a lot of experience already.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I put myself out there, and I contacted a heap of different teams and said that I'd be willing to coach them for free so I could build my experience, and which I think is one of those lost arts these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I put myself out there, and I trained a heap of teams, a heap of people for free, built a name from that, and then started charging.
Awesome, mate. Sounds great. So you live in Australia. So when did you make the move to Thailand? When you first went over, did you go and do some training? I'm guessing you'd done some traveling there previously. And how did you bump into Tiger Muay Thai? And yeah, how did you make that decision to get over to Thailand?
Yeah, so like I said, I got out of the army in 2012, and I moved to Tasmania with my ex-girlfriend, and we travelled for a year and a half. I didn't work for a year and a half, but we travelled for about 6 months. And during the travels, we did a couple of months around Southeast Asia, and then went over to Europe. And we'd been backpacking for about a month at this stage, and we're staying on the western side of Phuket in Patong, which is a little bit of a party place.
Yeah.
And we kind of had a little bit of enough of it, and we decided we wanted to, get our asses into gear, and did a little bit of research. I'd spoken to a couple of mates who'd actually been to Tiger the year before, and they were like, yeah, man, go and check this place out. It's good to go. So we rolled over and trained there for a week as customers. Continued traveling, went through Southeast Asia, and then went to Europe for 3 months. On the way back home, towards the back end of 2013, we decided to stop back in at Tiger Muay Thai and do another 2 weeks. Get ourselves in shape and write up resumes and apply for jobs and things like that.
Yep.
So we did another 2 weeks then, and I fell in love with the place, man. I spent 3 weeks here in 2013. I was like, man, this place is awesome. It's a great place with so many like-minded people, and people are coming here for many different reasons. And it's just a great place to be. It's something that I really wanted to be involved in. So I kind of set my sights on it.
Yeah.
And that was a kind of longer-term plan. And then I came back again 2015. I trained at 2 other gyms, Unit 27, Titan Fitness. And I was kind of networking and putting the feelers out, seeing if I could, create an opportunity to come back over and live here for at least 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And then I came back again in 2016, and I guest coached at one of those gyms for a month. I basically just coached 1 training sessions a day, a strength and conditioning session, in exchange for free training.
That's cool. Was that a Tiger?
That was at Titan Fitness.
Oh, Titan Fitness. Okay, cool. That's good though. That got your foot in the door and just got you known out there, and I suppose just how the gyms work out there, and also to pitch what level you was at, because I suppose when you first went, I mean, how recently have these Muay Thai gyms in Thailand really started focusing on the strength and conditioning? Is that something they've brought in like the last 5 years and 10 years? I'm guessing strength and conditioning is kind of kind of a new thing to go alongside the Muay Thai training for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's relatively new, and obviously the bigger gyms are taking a lot more seriously now. We've got, back when I came in 2013, the gym was completely different. It's been totally revamped since then. But
Yeah.
the focus really was on the Muay Thai side of things, and then Tiger decided they were going to start trying to draw in bigger names with the MMA program, which they did. And then obviously, as one department starts developing, then the rest need to keep up, and that's kind of what happened with the fitness department. So yeah, we're in a really good place right now. We've got a really solid team of coaches, and we get to work with general population clients as well as some of the high level fighters.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. So how has your role there as a coach sort of changed over the years? Have you just taken on more responsibility? And how is your workload there structured? Is there a lot of freedom in terms that you can create that yourself? Do they give you a set routine and you can create things around that? How does that work for you at the gym?
Mate, to be honest, I'm pretty free to basically do whatever I want.
That's awesome.
And that was
That's good. Yeah.
That was one of the draws in coming here, because I didn't come here to work 50 hours a week. I came here to live a lifestyle, get away on the weekends, and go to the beach in the afternoon. So I basically got an opportunity as an intern initially. So I worked for free for a couple of months, and then I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. 2 coaches had just previously left, and then whilst I was on my intern contract, another coach left. Someone must have seen something they liked, because 1 month into my 2-month contract, they offered me a full-time job.
Awesome,
and
mate.
about 4 to 5 months later, the head coach at the time left. He had other opportunities somewhere else, so he left. I applied for the position, I got that. So, the first kind of year was basically just putting structures in place and building a framework.
Yeah.
To make sure that we had a really solid fitness department. So, I was tied up with that. I was really busy, as well as still coaching classes and general population clients, and I wasn't really coaching any fighters at that stage. But then once I'd kind of established myself and had those frameworks in play, then it obviously freed up a lot more time for me to be able to go to some classes and talk to the fighters and
amazing, mate.
Build the schedule that I wanted.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream job and a dream destination and place for you to be doing it out of, like you say, because not only are you at an amazing gym, you're also an amazing location. So for you to live that lifestyle that you want, that sounds like a great balance between the two.
Yeah, man, I'm absolutely happy here. I could definitely get paid a lot more in Australia or other countries around the world, but for me, it's not about that. It's the experience that I get working with these high-level fighters. Each coming with their own injuries and histories and things like that. But it's the lifestyle as well, man. Some days I might only work 3 or 4 hours, and then I'm down on the beach reading or doing some study, listening to a podcast.
Yeah, love it, mate. That's awesome.
Going and exploring. So yeah, it's a good place to be for that.
So how would you describe the Thai people and their training approach, the Muay Thai trainers? Because I went to Thailand myself a couple of years ago. I went once and I booked in with this session with this guy, and he nearly killed me after about an hour. But it was really fun. But I noticed that they're so nice and polite and humble. But when it goes to training, there's like a switch that goes, and yeah, they're amazing to watch the training. These high level Muay Thai fighters, it's incredible.
Yeah. So amazing people, amazing culture. I really like seeing the locals here. They're always smiling, and they always know what your order is. You walk into the
that's
you
nice.
always walk in the cafe like same, yes please, man.
Yeah, same thing. Pad Thai for me all day. Love a pad Thai.
Going back to the question that you asked before about how the fight team and the trainers have evolved. I mean, it's hard, man, because some of the Western coaches, they understand the importance of strength and conditioning, but some of the Thai coaches, they don't really want to change. They're kind of stuck in what or some of them can be.
Yeah, kind of old school type, what we would call old school training, way of training.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys are just running, going on these long road runs, and then it's all skill work. They don't do any. Some of them don't do any strength and conditioning work.
Yeah, because there's that big debate within MMA between that balance between strength and skill, and should it be a lot more skill and a little bit of strength, and some fighters have different opinions. So yeah, is that what you've experienced? Is it kind of split down the middle with that approach?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, it depends on where you are in the year, right? You need to look at a periodization of training. And I talk to the fighters about this all the time. And if you don't have a fight coming up, then is there any point in like continuing to, let's say you only have 100 points to give to your attributes of striking and wrestling in BJJ. And if you're already at like, a 78, and you need to work harder and harder and harder to get an extra point, well, couldn't you just look at strength and conditioning and go, right, I'm going to build my speed, my power, my strength, my stability, my endurance, my balance, my coordination, my timing, my accuracy, So I always say to these guys, if you don't have a fight coming up, of course, stick with some skill work. That is primarily what you're getting paid to do. But if you build your strength, your speed, your power, endurance, etc., then that's going to allow you to be able to use your skills a lot more effectively.
Yeah, for sure. No, for me that totally makes sense. Especially after all the years and that you've been training and you've built up those skills. Why not sort of crank up the engine a little bit, so to speak, and enhance your body and get it in prime condition, so then your skills are firing at 100% opposed to firing at 70-80%. So how do you... It must be tricky. Like, do you communicate with a lot of the skill coaches, like wrestling coaches and BJJ coaches and stuff like that? When you're working with a fighter who's got a fight coming up, how do you balance the skill and the strength and conditioning to make sure they're not tired out for the skill work? I mean, is it just a case of sitting down and planning it out with the fighter, or how do you sort of approach that?
No, that's a brilliant question, because that's something that most strength and conditioning coaches are always wrestling with. So basically, what I do with my fighters is I'm constantly auto-regulating. So whenever they roll into the gym, I'll take their blood pressure, I'll take their heart rate variability. I'll have a heart rate monitor on them. I'll be tracking all of their data, and the heart rate variability is basically going to give me an idea of their balance of their autonomic nervous system, sympathetic versus parasympathetic. And if they're smashing themselves in all these other training sessions, then the HRV is going to tell me that. But not only is the HRV going to tell me that, when I go through my stability-based activation, stabilization, priming movements, etc., a lot of balance-based work. When I go through those skills and drills for the warm-up with my fighters, I can see what's going on. If they're typically really well balanced and they have good stability, then if they've overdone it, I can see that they're a little bit tired and they're not quite as composed. So then I'm auto-regulating. Now the trick is these guys are high-level athletes. They just want to smash themselves all the time.
Yeah.
So this is where the art of coaching comes in. I'm not, if I get one of my guys whose HRV is a little bit down, blood pressure's high, balance is a little bit off, I can see he's kind of dragging his heels a little bit, heads down, then I'm going to start making some changes to his training session. I've got an idea of what he's going to do, but I'm going to start auto-regulating and maybe focus a little bit more on the balance and the unilateral based activation work, mobility work, and then I might only finish with 10 minutes of conditioning or something like that. So yeah, it really depends on how they present day to day, and I'll typically I'll have a chat to them, but I'll also go and have a look at how they spar, how they move in wrestling and things like that as well. So it gives me a little bit of a cleaner understanding of where they're at, what's going on, how hard they're pushing it, and basically what they need the most.
Okay, cool, mate.
A lot of the times it's injury prevention, man.
Yeah.
You got to make sure these guys, sometimes we're just giving them a tune-up. They're working hard, they're redlining in all these other training sessions.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like, right, man, like let's look at focusing on a little bit of recovery based work. So that
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's tricky because you never get the same amount of time with each fighter. Like you might have someone who's got 4 weeks until a fight, or someone who's got 4 months until a fight. So how do you like to periodize the training in terms of like the strength and power, and how generally for a fighter, what is that general sort of linear periodization that you like to work through?
Yeah, really good question. It's difficult, so that's part of my job as a coach, is
Yeah.
to identify what's going to be the most important thing that they need to work on. I'll give you an example of this. And the other thing that's really difficult as well is some of these guys are only here for 4 weeks, and I might only get them for once or twice a year. Which can be really hard to be able to build that foundation. One of my guys, Peter Yarn, he's number 4 in the bantamweight division at the moment in the UFC.
Yeah.
We've been training together for about a year, maybe 16 months by now. But over time, I've gone through my assessments. I've built some strength, built some power, built some speed, built some endurance. All of these qualities. The last time that he was here, I only had him for 4 weeks. And he was fighting a guy that was bigger than him, a little bit heavier, a little bit stronger, in Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah.
So I basically need to look at his training program and go, right, what does this guy need? What is he good at? He's not going to be able, in 4 weeks, I'm not going to be able to build his strength enough to be able to compete with Jimmy. Peter Yarn's really good with his balance, his coordination, his accuracy, his timing. Let's just work on that for the next 4 weeks. So it was all really high intensity, short duration work, plyometrics based, speed and power based.
Yeah.
Plenty of rest periods. So, at the end of the session, like we'd spend 30, 40 minutes going through our mobility, activation, priming, balance, stability work. And then, we'd practice the skills and the drills, progressively adding intensity. And then I'd be like, all right, man, we're going to do 6 reps here of, these 30-second sprints.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd literally do 3 minutes of work, 3, 4, 5 minutes of work for the session. But he was working really hard. His intensity was really high, but we weren't overdoing it. We were giving him enough to be able to, create the response that we wanted without overdoing it.
Awesome, mate. Love that. So what are some common sort of mistakes that you've seen fighters make with their strength and conditioning? Overdoing certain exercises, too much heavy lifting, or not enough strength work or core work, or not working on mobility. Are there some sort of common things patterns that you've seen with fighters and just athletes in general that they get very wrong when it comes to working on their strength and conditioning for longevity?
Definitely, it's they want to turn everything into conditioning based circuits. They just want to go.
They want to get the heart rate up and just get a sweat on. Yeah.
If their heart rate's not up, they're not breathing hard, they're not sweating bucket loads, then they feel like they're not working. Which is really difficult to be able to pull that back in. Particularly if we're focusing on strength, you've got to explain to them that you're not going to be able to get that adaptation if you're not having that rest. It's going to affect your ability to recover, to be able to perform, etc. So. It's one of those things, man. Like, again, you got to try and find that balance. So what I basically do to work around that is I'll use contrast training. If I'm focusing on strength, I'll use some contrast training. So I had a guy a Russian guy that came and spoke to me a few days ago, and we had our first training session yesterday. And I was like, "What do you want to work on, man?" He goes, "I want to work on everything." I was like, "All right, cool. Like,
yeah.
Who are you fighting next? When's your fight? How long do we have to work together? How many sessions you want a week? What's your game plan?" He's like, "Well, I'm fighting a wrestler, so I want to be, I want my legs to be really strong. I want to be explosive, but I also want good conditioning, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "All right, cool. Let's roll with some contrast training." So, we built some strength and some power in his legs with some, trap bar deadlifts into some overhead throws, some scoop tosses and things like that. And then we went into, so the strength-based work was tension-based. And then the power work was obviously rate of force development. So, I basically just, if I knew that if I gave him long rest periods and, kept adding weight, kept the reps really low, that he wouldn't have bought into it. So I basically just I basically said, all I want you to do is 40 to 60 seconds work.
Yeah.
Let's move really slow, create tension, maintain posture through full range of movement. Yeah, we did that with deadlifts, and then we went into some scoop tosses, some overhead tosses.
Awesome.
That's going to jack dude, you're holding tension, like good quality tension for 40 to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Heart rate's jacking up, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah, exactly. And like you say, for fighters, that's not, they want to be moving, don't they? I think they're in that they're in that mindset of they want to be doing everything needs to be explosive and powerful, which is obviously you need to be. Um, you need to be with MMA, but I suppose it's trying to convince fighters that they need to take one step back to take two forward with their training sometimes.
Yeah, and like I said, it comes down to the art of coaching.
Yeah.
I basically said, right, let's go and do these trap bar deadlifts, then into these scoop tosses. So right there, he's working for probably a minute 15, minute and a half.
Yeah.
And then I just went into some upper body movements where I went into some really slow eccentric push-ups with some isometric holds in the bottom position, and then I would try and shift his position. I'd jam my shin into his rib cage and try and push him off position.
Yeah.
I'd try and drag his elbow out to the side.
That's cool.
Drag his
Yeah.
leg across. Try and break his position. I got him there for 40 to 60 seconds, and then we went into some explosive chest passes with a med ball. So
Yeah.
if you look at that, man, there's 3 minutes of work, and by the end of that, he's
Yeah.
pretty bucked.
Oh, I
getting
bet.
him to work hard.
Yeah.
Getting him to work hard. I'm giving him what he wants, but I'm also giving him what he needs.
Awesome, mate. Yeah, it's trying to tick as many boxes as possible in that time. It's funny because you train general population, and some people, you have to really motivate them to get them going. But with fighters, it's about reining them back, because otherwise they'll just keep going and destroying their bodies. So it's just trying to, bring the science into it, which you're definitely doing, which is awesome. So I saw
the common battle.
Yeah, I bet. I watched the other day because I watched the 2018 tryouts, which was really cool. And I saw episode 1 got posted the other day for 2019. I watched that. So and that's really popular. You see the amount of views it's got on YouTube. What is your role and responsibility with the team tryouts, and how much has that level gone up each year, like since you've been there, the level of fighters that it's attracting?
Yeah, so I've only been here for 2 of the tryouts.
Okay.
A lot of the other coaches were saying that last year was, awesome. It was a step up from the talent that we got previously. Don't get me wrong, we had some amazing talent, but right across the board, it seemed to improve, and that level went up again this year. So, really high quality fighters from all over the world, already well established fighters. Really talented, really skilled. So, man, it's getting better year after year. So that's really awesome. My role in that is obviously as the head strength and conditioning coach. So whenever the strength and conditioning components come up, then I put down with my coaches that are helping me plan those training sessions, and we basically just have a look at what we want to work on, how we're going to run it, how we're going to structure it, how we're going to get it to flow really well, what we want to, see from the fighters, how they're going to, the different qualities that we want to see from the fighters, and also how they perform under fatigue.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Yeah, it sounds like they go through a really tough time by the looks of it. It looks absolutely brutal. There's a particular episode on the 2018 one where they're all doing pad work with the trainers, but it ain't just pad work. I mean, these trainers are absolutely battering them. They're just basically putting them through as much as they can. Just it looks brutal, but it's fun to watch though.
That's the test at the end. They've already gone through 5 really difficult training sessions. They're already fatigued. They get smashed all week. So we want to see how they perform in that, and it's always awesome. There's always a massive crowd there watching. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone knows what to expect. Even the guys that are participating, they know what's coming. So
awesome, mate. Yeah, you'll be there. You'll be there front and center, guaranteed. Love it, mate. So what are your future plans for Tiger Muay Thai? In terms of your personal development, what are your plans at Tiger looking like in the future?
Mate, I plan on staying here for the next couple of years at least. I really enjoy it here. I'm still learning. I'm still developing. I've got an awesome opportunity to work with these high level guys. And we continue doing so for the next couple of years at least. In terms of personal stuff, I'm actually thinking about doing a podcast, man, like in line with having this opportunity here at Tiger, there's so many people that come through. It's like it's a very transient place. So
Definitely,
some people
mate.
are coming.
I'm surprised Tiger doesn't have a podcast, and for you, because you are working with a lot of people, that would be, yeah, that'd be brilliant. Definitely, that'd be really good. I
Yeah,
think.
that's something I've kind of thrown out to a couple of people, bounce some ideas off, and I'm going to give it a lot more thought
Yeah,
once my days kind of open up a little bit more. I'm pretty under
yeah,
the pump right now, but
yeah,
once my days open up a little bit more, it's something I'll give a lot more thought to. It's a great opportunity. There's so many people coming here, people coming to change their lives. People coming here for drug rehabilitation purposes to
yeah,
kickstart their health fitness journey. They had a heart attack and their fucking doctors told them they need to go and do something. So they come here to give themselves a kick up the arse. And then you've
yeah.
got the people that are coming here hoping to crack it in the combat sports world. And then you've got highly established guys that are coming here to upgrade their skills. So man, I've got
But
I'm in a great
basically,
position.
yeah, basically all the people are there to do the podcast. You could get some amazing episodes going because there's so many, like you said, there's so many different people that go to the gym from all parts of the world. So yeah, that's definitely something I would push. I think that would be great. Awesome, Sean. Well, mate, it's been quality talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on chatting to me because I know you're a busy man. So at the end of each of the episodes, I always ask the guest about 3 areas of inspiration. So like a book that they've read that they would pass on to others, like a movie or documentary that they've watched, and then just like a person that has inspired them. So if we start with a book, mate, have you got a book that you've read that you'd recommend others check out?
One of my favorite books is called Extreme Ownership
Ah, by
by
Jocko.
Jocko Willink.
Yeah,
Yeah, Leaf Bevan. Yeah, I really like that book, man. That's something that really resonates with me is, and this is something that I think is kind of diminishing in this day and age. A lot of people point the finger and don't take responsibility for their own actions, and they're not accountable for
yeah,
when they do things wrong. So that's something that really resonates with me, and that's something that I always try and put across to other people as well. And it's something that I really really focus on in my life.
yeah. Love it, mate. Yeah, no, that's no one. This is episode 23, and no one said extreme ownership, but yeah, that's awesome because I haven't read the book, but I do listen to Jocko's Jocko podcast, and he's just got so many awesome little YouTube videos. That's like if I'm ever feeling lazy or I've had a bad day of eating, I'll watch a Jocko video, and then that gives me a kick up the arse. Um, Jocko, he says it how it is, so that's pretty cool. Awesome, bud. So, and what about a movie or a documentary?
I haven't watched any documentaries recently, so nothing pops to mind. But my favorite movie is Remember the Titans. Classic.
Yeah, that's a classic. That's a go-to.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that. Yeah, that'll get you
Yeah, man. I don't
motivated.
watch too many movies or documentaries or anything.
Yeah, you're too busy,
But
so that's a good
that's
one.
that's
Or,
that's one of those movies that I think it's the only movie that I've watched more than 5 times. So
yeah,
it's up
yeah.
there.
No, it's a great movie. And what about a person to finish up?
Um, Look, man, that's a really difficult question.
Yeah,
I've had so many people in my life that have mentored me, helped me in both positive ways and negative ways. So I can't really point the finger at anyone specifically. I would say that I've had a lot of good females in my life, but a lot of good men in my life. I don't know my father. I've never met him. My stepdad was a bit of an asshole. So I left home when I was 14, started working, left school, left home, left my family. I started working, at 14, and
yeah,
I was working with adults in the building supplies industry, and a lot of these kind of older dudes that were, just kick around blokes that would, enjoy having a smoke and a beer and whatever. But really good dudes that kind of gave me perspective on life and guided me through those, I guess, the later teenage years as I was growing up. So yeah, no one in particular, but I've got a lot of guys that basically painted a picture of, or allowed me to paint a picture of the person that I either wanted to be, or particular traits that I didn't want to, carry on.
awesome, mate. Love it. That's great. Sean, it's been a pleasure, mate, chatting to you. Like I say, I really appreciate it because I know you're a busy man at Tiger. So yeah, I just want to wish you all the best for the future, because it sounds like you're doing some great stuff there. And yeah, just good luck, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Excellent, Callum. Thank you very much. I appreciate being on the podcast, brother. You take care, mate. I'll chat to you soon.
You're welcome, mate. Thank you. Cool, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.